Good morning to all of you. Hello. We'll try to start and quickly complete topic number 4 here. Sorry about the delay. Pass this one. Sorry about the delay, and hope we'll be able to continue without any technical issue further. Right. Last time we had an online session. And then when we take, we have completed the previous topic, and that was on product designing related activities in an organization. Do you remember how many of you were there for the online session? Yeah. Okay. We discussed in detail for manufacturing firms why it is important for them to design their products in a more appropriate manner. So do you remember? Now you all are going to become accounting specialists or financial specialists, right? So in manufacturing firms, the way that the firm design or the organization design their products will have impact on many other decisions also, right? So we discussed the other day how carefully businesses should specify their product features, characteristics and all, right? And for that, what are the recommended steps, processes, and what are the common practices used? Did we? Hello? Right. So there is a process recommended for that. We call it new product development process that has several steps. I hope you went through it and you have a simple idea now, because unlike your subjects like accounting or management accounting subjects, or sometimes finance subjects, you will have to do the calculation and get the answer. The type of questions you are going to get for these topics would be descriptive. What I mean by that? Hello? What I mean by descriptive questions? You'll have to simply understand the question and come up with your ideas and then write them down. And for that, you'll have to use the concepts, the processes, and other theory points we have discussed in the classroom, right? Unlike doing the calculation. So pay attention to that. So you should have some ideas, opinions about various different theory parts we completed in the class. So check it one more time, whether all those concepts related to product designing, and then the related steps, and then other concepts. I think we covered only the main concepts there. Check and let me know whether there are any issues. This has to be a live one, right? Live discussion. Without your participation, without your active involvement, discussions may not go smoothly. Right? You should be able to understand these simple concepts and come up with questions. Anything that is not clear from the previous topic? Product designing. Well, those who are connected to the online, do you have any queries or issues coming from the previous content? No?
No, sir.
Right. Let me move forward with that response. How about the participants here, or physical here? Comfortable? Right. Then check at least one or two past papers and be familiar with the type of questions you are going to answer. for this topic, right? And with that, this area is known as location strategies, also known as facility location planning, right? Facility location planning. As the main content here, we'll try to cover what we mean by facility locations decision in operations management and the importance of it. What are the options available for facility locations? And then, of course, how location decisions should be made. Local businesses, when selecting their locations, what to do and what factors to consider. And multinational and global businesses, when selecting locations, what factors they consider, we need to identify. So we also try to identify how this decision, location decision should be made. Is there a specific way to make this decision? Right. So we'll identify a few steps that will help you as managers when selecting location, what to do. Right. And there we will also identify what are the key factors for manufacturing businesses and then for service organizations. Towards end, we will also identify some evaluation techniques which are commonly used for location selection. That is the content. That is the content we are going to cover. Right. So we'll try to cover it within 1 hour or 1.5 hours time before the break, if possible. Are we going to have a break in between? Yeah. Or not? It depends. Right. Breakfast got the right. I think this is not a totally new area for many of you. Facility location. Now, don't misunderstand. In operations context, in operations management, we are talking about operations facilities, right? So what we mean by operations facilities here are mainly the premises and buildings used for operations activities. Is that clear? Right? Hello? සීතල එකම අපි මෙහෙම ඉන්නේ පාගල ලියන්න ඕනේ හිතන්න ඕනේ ඇක්ටිව්ලි ඉන්නේ නැත්නම් නිදිමත හැදෙනවා එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ මෙදී ඔලුවට යනවා. So what we mean by operations facilities here, the premises or the buildings used for operations, right? So depending on the scale of the business, depending on the type of operations they anyway manage, they may require various different facilities, right? And here we try to understand where to locate them and what factors to consider when selecting the locations. Is that clear? So there can be various different premises and buildings used. Some of them are mentioned here. We will also identify furthermore. So facility location refers to identifying the most suitable place for each facility or most appropriate places for them to manage operations more smoothly, efficient manner, smooth manner, right? And to fulfill the requirements of the business. This is very important. Now, before moving further, yeah, come. Just to start it, you can quickly join. Now, thinking from manufacturing organization side, let's take that area first. So, manufacturing businesses like garment factories, biscuits manufacturing, snacks, or dairy products like ice cream, yogurts, and various other, maybe cement, right? Furniture manufacturing, right? Such businesses. What are the common facilities needed for such manufacturing businesses? Hello? What are the common facilities required for manufacturing organizations? Facilities means buildings here, right? I am repeating it. Don't use it otherwise, right? What we mean by operations facilities? Buildings and premises here, right? So what are the buildings? What are the different premises required for manufacturing businesses? You know the answer. No, I mean, what are the different types of buildings in the sense for various different functions they require, right? So, don't just think about now. Most of you are just thinking from the accounting side, finance side of the business. Now, here in the degree program or the business management, we are focusing about the entire business, and especially in a subject like this, operations management, we think from the entire operations of the business, right? Not just as accountants, you should think here, thinking as managers, right? And in this case, thinking about operations side of it and operations managers' responsibility. What are the different facilities required? In the sense, buildings and premises required for managing operations smoothly. Factories and warehouses. That answer should directly come to your mind, right? If it is a manufacturing firm, if they involved in manufacturing, they anyway require a place to manufacture. That is a factory. Hello? That's a factory, right? And also, as she correctly pointed out, warehouses are required. Why? To store products. Maybe the raw materials or components until they are used for the production. And on the other side, the finished products. Once they are completed, before sending to the market, they need to store them at warehouses. So, two main facilities. One is factories or plants, and the other one is warehouses. And in addition to that, do they require some more facilities in manufacturing businesses? If so, what? Hello? Distribution centers may be required if they involve in distribution part of it. And assume that they do not, and there are businesses, they do not only produce, right? They involve in selling and distribution as well. Do they? Yes. Say for example, like snacks industry or the confectioneries. Here in Sri Lanka, we have CBL and Melbourne. They just do not only manufacture, they involve in selling and distribution as well. And for that, to manage that, they need distribution centers covering a particular geographical area. Otherwise, difficult to coordinate the distribution. Another example would be cement. Cement factories may be located somewhere, and to ensure the smooth distribution within a country or a geographical area, they need to locate 2-3 distribution centers to coordinate the distribution. Is that clear? So that way you have to think. Don't just think about the accounting, transactions, standards, policies and everything, right? Now, business side of it, operation side of it. So, distribution centers. So that's about manufacturing businesses. Now, thinking about service examples, service industries, are facilities needed for service businesses. What do you mean by facilities here? Buildings, premises. What type of buildings and premises required for service operations? Hello? Yeah, if they involve in selling certain, distributing, involved in retailing some of their services. Showrooms are required. Showrooms? Right. Assume in Sri Lanka, yeah, we'll come there. In a country like Sri Lanka, like furniture suppliers, right, like Gambro, they have manufacturing facilities and they know, of course, showrooms to display the products to customers should come and select the products and all. Understand it? That has to be located at appropriate places. We're going to talk about that and quickly identify what factors to consider when selecting such. Now, thinking about other services like restaurant chains, is that decision related? Restaurant chains like KFC to Pizza Hut to various other. Can you understand? This is one main decision, one key decision that may affect on performance of business. And thinking about universities, what type of premises required? Maybe the main place and the head office, right? The main buildings and head office, where to locate it, and their branches, right? And the other facilities like lecture halls, computer theaters, libraries, right? So we have to locate them. Is an important decision. Hope that is clear. We are going to talk about it quickly. Is it clear? Because facilities has other meanings also, but here we mean by, what we mean by facilities? Buildings and premises required for operations activities. When we think of this decision, what we call location planning, this is one of the most important decisions a firm make, and equally important for both manufacturing industries and service industries. Agree? Yeah. For different reasons, by the way, but they are important. And now, current market situations, the economic conditions and all, has resulted in making, not only within a country, making location decisions within a region or considering other regions as well. It has become a global decision now for most of the large scale businesses, multinational businesses. So it's not about selecting one place within a country. So identifying places which countries to operate and how they should locate their facilities there. Maybe not only within a region, other regions, other continents as well, right? Especially to expand their businesses in the global markets, right? So it has become more global now. The next point, the location may significantly impact on the operations cost, supply cost. Right. In that matter, both fixed and the variable cost get affected. Can you understand that? Depending on your decision where to locate your factories, warehouses, distribution centers and all, it affects both fixed and the variable cost. And is this decision a frequent decision? In the sense, business managers, operations, should they make it every month, every 2 months, 3 months? No, not necessarily. Right? Very infrequent decision in a way. Infrequent. Not every time, but when they make it, they have to make it very careful manner, systematic manner. Because once we select a location, once we committed to a location, it's very difficult to change. Right? So that there can be various different resource issues, cost issues that are difficult to change. So decision makers must analyze various different factors and select the locations, and once that is selected, that is a long-term commitment. So in this topic, we just try to identify when making such location decisions, how they should behave, how they should make that decision. our simple understanding that decision is considered as location planning or location analysis. Location planning or location analysis, that can be described in this way. Go through it and check whether you can understand. It's very simple description. Facility location planning is the decision making process which involves identifying the best geographical location for a production facility like factory, warehouse, or any other facilities required for manufacturing firm, or the location for a service facility. Service facility like restaurant, hotel, or supermarket, or whatever. Right. So deciding some of the buildings and premises for service businesses. This decision, location where to operate from, may affect both operations performance as well as the overall performance of the business. Can we discuss a little more of that? Now, what I mean by operations performance here, right? If you think of a manufacturing firm, what are the key criteria that we can use to measure the operations performance? What are the key concerns? The required infrastructure, is that what you mean? Now, I mean, when it comes to operations performance, right? So they should be able to maximally utilize whatever the infrastructure facilities there. Right? That is true. Right? So one of the main operations performance would be resources or whatever the infrastructure facilities, to what extent they are utilized. Isn't so? Right. So resource utilization is one indicator, one criteria that we can use to measure the operations performance. Resource utilization or infrastructure utilization. True, I agree. So write it down as one main criteria that we can use to measure operations performance. Infrastructure utilization. In simple terms, what is that? Now, they may have factories built for production requirements, right? So it's about to what extent they have utilized it. We call it utilization and utilization. What we expect? Operational managers to utilize them fully or to the maximum, right? So do you think, depending on the location, that criteria, that performance would be dependent? Depending on where the factory is located, resource utilization. Can you understand it? Because due to various different reasons, utilization of resources depends on where the factory is located. Because now assume one factory is located here in Sri Lanka, another factory is located in Malaysia, or let's say Indonesia, right? Now, just assume both are equal in size, right? Now, due to certain import restrictions, there are difficulties in importing certain raw materials to Sri Lankan plant, right? But without any issues, the same company can import whatever the required inputs to Indonesia and utilize the factory facilities, right? Production process, machines and everything. Right? So, just because of their decision to locate one factory here, resource utilization would get affected. Can you understand it? So one performance like resource utilization depends on where you locate your factory. Likewise, what are the other criteria we can use to measure operations performance? What are the other criteria? Productivity, efficiency, is that an important for operations performance? Yes. Productivity. Right. So I'm not going to provide more details about it, but hope you can understand. Productivity is all about the ratio between output and input. Right. Now assume Sri Lankan employees are more competent, qualified, and then skillful than Indonesian workers. Can that happen? Their skill levels, intelligence level could be low. Just assume lower than Sri Lankan employees. Now this factory heavily depends on workers. They have, let's say, 500 workers. Right? Now productivity would be higher in Sri Lankan factory compared to Indonesian factory. So like, depending on the location, the productivity, output ratio would be different. Likewise, there can be other operations performance like operating cost. Is that an important thing? The operating cost, that is the total cost spent per product. That depends on various different factors like there can be materials cost, there can be labor cost, there can be energy, right, and various other. Right? From place to place, that is, they are different. Right? So likewise, so hope you can understand. These are few examples. And there are many other operations performance criteria also, like whether they can supply full load, the orders full, and then of course the time taken for processing and delivery, we call it lead time, right? And then of course how many orders they can deliver on time, right? So all these are important, and location is one criteria that determines those performances. Hope you can understand. That is same for services. Now, not only that, even the organization's performance depends on location. What I mean by organizational performance here is general performance. That means the revenue, total income that can be generated, and then of course the profitability of the business, and many other. Write them down. Right. So those are depend on locations also, location facility also. We try to quickly identify, right, this topic. We try to understand location strategies in the sense operations facilities, we have to locate them. If you are not here, so operations facilities, what we mean by here is that the buildings and the premises required for operations. So for example, factories, warehouses, distribution centers, and various other facilities, we have to locate them. The decision is called facility location plan. Right. Now, when it comes to this decision, there are various different factors to consider. Right. We can classify them into these two and identify these two approaches for location decisions, as mentioned here. One approach, we call it cost focused approach for location selection. Cost focus. I will explain it. And the other one is called revenue focus approach for location selection. Right. Cost focus and the revenue focus. Now, at the same time, just share with me your ideas when this decision should be made by top managers. Well, what do you think? Who involves in making this decision? Who decide location for facility? Now we talk about it, this topic in operations management. Is that what does that mean? Operations managers decide the locations. What do you think? Who involves in this decision? Top level management. So it's basically a strategic decision in a way, right? So that the director board and the top management involved in this decision. What do you think? Hello? Right. So the top management should finally decide because it's a strategic decision and also an investment decision. Can you understand it? It's an investment decision. We have to invest your resources. We have to build your factories, warehouses, and other resources. So that, of course, financial concerns. What you basically consider there: ROI, ROI, return on investment, and various other financial techniques are used to decide. Right? And at the same time, this location, especially facility locations, significantly affect on operations. So operations should give an opportunity to come up with their suggestions. That is how it happens. So for an example now, let's say garment factories, when deciding for their new facilities, let's say now a garment factory, now they are expanding their operations, and then they want to start fabric manufacturing also as a part of their business. Just assume, right? Garment factories, right? They may decide to start new factory for fabric manufacturing because fabric is one main material used in the garments factory. So now to decide where to locate the fabric manufacturing facility. You can understand the issue when they make the decision at the board of director level, or only considering the finance aspect. Right? They need to consider a lot of operational aspects also. Otherwise, they may fail in the field. Right? So operations inputs, operations ideas, operations recommendations are required because they are going to operate from the place. They will have to face a lot of operational issues, challenges if they have selected the wrong place. That is why operations are supposed to give their suggestions. However, the top management, experts, consultants will help you. Clear? Now, these are the two main approaches, what we call cost focus and the revenue focus. This is just for education purpose. When making the decision, they will not only focus on one, they will consider both. This is just for education purpose. We classify. Those who connected with us through online, is it clear up to this point? Were you there with us? Farhan, hope you are there. So is that clear? Could you hear us? Hope so. Right? I noted the lecture is being recorded so that you can. So sad of it, sometimes there are connectivity issues. Farhan, I think we disconnected from the meeting. Can you hear us again? No response. Anyway, the lecture being recorded so that you can refer that to later. Right. After 10-15 minutes, we can have a small break. But prior to that, let's quickly identify these two. Right. So now the first one, cost focus. The simple idea is that deciding the location, considering various different cost elements. Cost side of the location. Right. Now, why? Because depending on the location, the cost may vary. Right. So from location to location, cost would be vary, sometimes significantly. So that selecting the best place that has cost advantage is very important. More than in services, we see this approach being used in manufacturing industries. Right? Because one thing could be they require relatively big space, right? Spacious land, spacious buildings for their factories and all, so that the cost would be huge. And not only that, not only the fixed cost, there are different variable cost elements, right? Especially materials supply cost, transportation and all, they significantly vary from one place to another, right? And then of course, cost of labor, right? Within the country, especially in a small country like ours, right? Would that be would be little different anyway, right? But when you compare two countries, two regions, cost of labor would be significantly different. Right? What are the other cost elements that would vary from place to place? Fixed cost, transportation cost, labor cost, and what else? Fixed cost like the land cost and all, and then transportation cost, and then labor cost. What else? Maintenance cost also, right? Premises maintenance, right? to a great extent, yes. There are other main operating costs like material supply, and that is what. Right? So materials and material supply cost vary from one place to another. Yes. That is the next most important part. With the utilities, energy cost would vary from one location to another, from one country to another. So accordingly, they may decide. Right? The factories will have to decide depending on the energy cost. Then those are the facilities like water and these. Considering designing a location that has a cost advantage. In addition to that, there can be other factors also, like most of the manufacturing firms operating from Sri Lanka now. They will depend on imported materials, imported components. What has happened? Due to tariff, tax and additional payments, like tax, and then what has happened? The foreign exchange, foreign exchange are there to the interest rates fluctuate, and then also and of importance. So that would negatively affect. Understand? So look at advantage. More than in service, manufacturing service, this is there are others also. Yes. We introduce this also. Applications got it progress, which means the location from place from location the revenue you can generate. You understand? This is more applicable for but to submit. So what is the second approach? This impact. And if you industry are is okay and select give me few examples. That's factor-wise, asking for some examples, some examples that consider. Factor would be population, and another would be compared to factors. So, just asking about some business examples. And they are branch. Select location for their branch. You have to analyze the thing and generate that for that. hospitals and branches. Right. Yes, the restaurant. Restaurant. Discuss it. Just looking for other factors. Hotels and restaurants. Yes. Markets. Outlet. Outlets. Another each place located outlets and profitable. Yes. So five mini service examples. Patient, maybe cellular center. If I ask you to take one example, one example, and location one understanding 5-10 minutes, and that would be good to understand. You may select a business here, location that there. Then select a particular location. Clear? And identify as much as possible. Do you need numbers? For example, one business Srilanka 6 decades ago was selected Sapu area. New and that location create certain may not be due to certain factors. Right? So if that be able to identify the location they have done select that will be fine. Is that clear? Think both sides. This knowledge to plant and operation electricity location that factors the so into that and as a group one or two going group as a on the phone there are 8 from there doing this work on discuss could explain that you are aware also my Business consider example, and I look factors that you don't know what consider, but how to identify. Expect our design race and business analysis. If you need idea of it, you select it. So bad that just select me. So what is it? Think of business of their locations, then identify through the what factors might have thought of. Exactly. Try to identify, okay, in terms of the fact that now very quick one is we find it to what is the organization celebration. Have you also no. What you know about the operation taking place? 4 operations, right? 4 of them. Right? Now we have Colombo so already and like yeah, right? They have operations. These two definitely going to consider the entire what? No, because the country is then the discussion fruitful. How You have the only to month. That is what we care for. Right? Activity important occasion is go for a day. Not just something. Just particular and think which aspect that notice better. In other words, this place. Both have decided to think of activity. They are supposed to take example whether the manufacturing is that at a business particular location like a restaurant in one particular restaurant outlet. Nice. What would be uh, uh, relevant at location? Or in other words, do the fact to identify for the location. Might take a minute. You can identify, make sure that you want the operator. That's the business. But both operations and
So we need a little more time. I think in the now, both have selected unit. Let's go. I mean, let's complete the list as we move on. Both have selected. Both groups have selected hotels. At least there's a difference because their selection is Shangri-La, based in Colombo, commercial, close to very close to commercial hub of Colombo, Srilanka, and they have selected another market segment, or focusing or aiming at different market segment. Located in Kandy, and you know the exact place that is located. You know the exact place in which area that and how many kilometers away from the main city? 10 kilometers away from main city towards which side? Towards Kerala. So let's see at least in hospitality or basically what factors they might have considered when selecting the location. So I think your group may start with the factors you identified for Shangri-La, Colombo. Okay, you think, well, that is a kind of recently established hotel. So definitely they must have considered highway facilities, especially from tourists coming from Katmai airport, so that they can arrive the place within less than 1 hour, right? So that is the locational advantage for a tourist hotel like Colombo, right? Great. Some other points? Okay, then tourists arriving from the airport can easily arrive the place. Okay. Okay. In Colombo, anyway, there has been many other facilities already, hotels. Now, being a new facility, new hotel, they will be able to attract some of the existing customers also from their competitors. That's good because customers, especially in hotels feel more than regular customers, but they have is customers with different places or different experiences. So definitely they will be able to attract some percentage of customers. Transport facilities in the center within the western province and around the metropolitan area. So that will be huge. More transport facilities are needed for tourists and within the area. Various different transport options. Railway to public transportation to whatever the other private transportations to air transportation. Be available, especially for business class cases. IA, they can even use helicopters and whatever other air traveling options also when they are staying close to Colombo, like at hotel Sandila. So from customers' point of view, those factors are very much relevant. So thereby, we can attract more customers, and from revenue side, that is important. Okay. Okay. Apartments and shopping mall facilities, given the spacious land they had, they built up a hotel. How many stories? Many 14 stories, 40 stories or something. So spacious, right? Apartments, then the shopping mall facilities, and various other film halls to various others, right? All the facilities are available at one place. One of the best experiences that tourists can get in that place. So that again, to make it attractive to use customers, they have this very much within the metropolitan area. Okay, but okay, natural scenery, the view, right? That scenery is also unique and attractive. I mean, especially close to sea and Indian Ocean. That view is unique, fresh air and all the other natural attractions are there. Provided by that also. Great. Okay. Okay. Do you consider to manage a hotel in that scale, how many workers would be required? The workforce, size of the workforce, right? And then I mean, unlike small to medium scale hotel, for a hotel like this, they need more qualified, more experienced workforce. And when they locate it close to Colombo, within Colombo, they will be able to attract more suitable workers to manage the hotel operations there. I do agree with that also. So qualified, experienced workers, because there have been many other hotels and facilities here in Srilanka. They can recruit from the. especially when they make that investment decision, they have negotiated with the government G2G kind of arrangement there, right? And and as a result, they managed to secure better tax concessions and more. Tax concessions, that may definitely serve as an advantage. So the last two, I think, from cost side, right, labor force, labor force and the tax concessions. How about the land cost? Right, compared to many other places within Sri Lanka, this could be the most expensive place for them. So how do you reconcile it? Nine 9 years lease, that is the initial arrangement. And that has been the strategy for them to reduce the initial investment cost. Because of the control they had, because of the pressure they could create from government, they could go for that option so that their initial fixed cost or initial investment is not so high. There are some savings. There are similar other investments here in Sri Lanka, right? So that they have been, most of the Chinese investors have already invested here in Sri Lanka. So that there's a less risk here in Sri Lanka for them. Don't you think so? Right? There are many other properties, and they have invested on various different infrastructure facilities also here, from highways to harbour to various other port city especially, and they expect to operate it probably after 2028 or so. So that they are aiming at arriving here to operate at Colombo port city. So when such developments take place, when the hotel start operating at its full scale, they will be able to generate more profits. So long-term investment, that you have to analyze the location and estimate. Great. And similar example we have from their group, that is Amaya Hills, local investment. Do you think that place is good, appropriate? If so, what are the reasons? It is very close to very close to Kandy city. Is that important for a tourist hotel? Why is that? Yeah, I mean, certain percentage of tourists arriving here coming for experience the culture heritage as well. Yeah. So religious, especially Buddhist heritage, and then of course the Perahara and all, right, cultural events and all taking place in the newer Kandy area. So that's a kind of destination most of the tourists gathering. So that they try to attract certain percentage of tourists from that. Cultural or heritage destinations are located close to our place. Okay, all the infrastructure facilities, including roads, readily available in that area. So that's an advantage to smoothly run hotel. Okay. Okay. Unique scenery in the country. That the location is also directing to a different scenery, so attractive location. Balanced climate, unlike Colombo, unlike Morelia, right? Somewhere in the middle, right? Okay. Even tourists using railway transportation can arrive there. I've seen how tourists struggling to get the transport facilities, public transportation. That's the thing, right? We don't have any facilities arranged for them. 2 3 months ago, I was traveling from Colombo to Candy, accident by train. When we pass, I think Ragama, Gampaha, the train was crowded, another train, and from Gampaha onwards, they own and tourists, most of them already purchased the tickets and all, but they could not get into the train. How unfortunate that is, with some kids with backpacks, right? They were struggling to get into the train. But the train was full. See how you think of tourists. I just reminded me. So what are the other things? How about the cost side, the land cost? Relatively, it's moderate. Workforce and their costs and all. Okay. Okay, separate activity, the skill levels are also high. And given that there are other hotels also that has been operating for some long time now, they can easily recruit well-trained, experienced workers for each of the hotel operations, from kitchen to housekeeping to various other. You can recruit skilled workers from there. Certificates also, they have enough spacious reception halls, daily expenses, so that they can provide whatever the space, whatever the facilities required for clients, corporate events, weddings, and family gatherings and all. So I think that application is good for that. It's spacious. Two service examples. If you think of manufacturing, different story. Thank you very much. We need a small break for 10 minutes. If we don't run short of time, only 10 minutes like this.
Hello. Yeah. වසන්ත නාමසේ. Okay. අපේ මේ වසන්ත අයියාද මේ කියන්නේ අපේ මේ වසන්ත අයියේ. ඔව්. ඉන්නවා අයියේ. ඔව්. අපෙන් තමයි. ඕසන්තයි නෑ හරි හරි ඔව්
හරි I hope you all can hear now. We're waiting till others come, that's why the delay. But hope within 3 to 5 minutes time we will be able to start. Farhan, can you all hear?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Thank you. I'm sorry that there was a delay because we were waiting till others come, and hope we can continue from here.
Okay, sir, no problem.
Right, Farhan. Right, thank you. Now, before the discussion, before the interval, we identified there are different factors to consider. We were waiting, right? You took more than 40 minutes. That's so unfortunate. You came late, and then of course took more time for the break. That reduces the time available for the discussion. Anyway, now coming to the remaining part of the discussion. Now you understand it in local context within a country. For a business like hotel or hospital, you understand location should have been selected in a careful manner. When it comes to manufacturing industry also that is same. So manufacturing firms should select locations for their factories, warehouses, distribution centers and retail outlets in a careful manner after considering various different factors. Again, could be some factors leading to cost and some factors leading to revenue. Right? Beyond that, the recent market trend is that manufacturing firms not only locating their facilities within a country, they will have to decide different countries and locations at different countries, different regions, right? And therefore, multinational companies, when selecting their operations facility, they are considering various different factors for that. Right? That is what we try to understand here. right? Multinational companies, when thinking about their factories, locations, and all, they need to consider various different factors, right? So from this slide onwards, we try to identify what are those factors, right? We call it 3 levels applicable for multinational companies or global businesses when they select locations for their businesses. One at the global level, that means various different continents and regions they should consider. And then of course within the region, there can be multiple companies, multiple countries, different countries and communities, that they will have to analyze and select one country. And the next level, within a country, selecting a location, selecting a site, right? So at each situation, they need to consider different location factors, right? So there can be many different factors that businesses would consider, but I have listed some of them here. Different regions, different continents in the world, right? For selecting a better country first, better region first. Right? Some of these factors are considered by decision makers, right? Especially factors like the government stability, the government regulations, and other factors like the political system of the region, the and other factors. And more important, these factors also in action to exchange rates and more industry specific factors like import, foreign trade related factors like import and export regulations, bilateral or within the group certain trade group trade agreement GPAs would be seriously considered to get advantages of that. So we call them global location factors. Just go through the factors and check whether you can understand things. What points are at global level? Do you find points that is not clear to you? We can classify them as global location factors because when you evaluate different regions of the world, location factors are group agreements. You may have foreign trade countries. There can be better agreements and Sri Lanka and India. We have trade agreement, bilateral. Likewise, within regions or between regions, trade agreements, based on which they can get a lot of advantages. Say now, European region, European Union, within that, there are a lot of trade regulations applicable only to countries within the region, right? A lot of tax and tariff concessions. And to import or export within the region, there are certain rules and regulations applicable. Especially to import to countries within the European region, the factories should be located within the region so that they can get a lot of advantage. So likewise, So such factors would be seriously considered. So, country of origin, which matters when it comes to exporting. So, they would consider when this regulation. Now, we have to understand this in the modern foreign trade context, what we call globalized supply chains, global supply chains. Right? Hope you understand it. That is not a thing. If I just give you one example like this is worldwide division of work factory and manufacturing and sales outlets. Right? They have carefully analyzed different regions of the world and decided for their factories for various different components, and then of course assembly plants, and then distribution. Depending on the suitable different factories. Sometimes manufacturing say and of course South Africa, right? And may take that certain China and here I think Switzerland, and then like other in some countries, which then transfer the markets. And from Europe. So in the one factory and different countries. The same automobile they have advantage their facility coordination. Other industries, manufacturing, electronic product, to electronic. Laptops to these now this is what we regional level means now once this region level with Asian country. America big has many different and each so they need to have them and they stay they are most location pack. So individuals would be yes. Understand these location the previous of time economic more specifics. Specifics are like available and then union and market within proximity customers. Another factor. Check with the trend if the points are not
Please, sir. Hello, sir.
As one the business here within.
Sir,
So
voice is not
that is
clear.
not the weather condition from one car to another suitable selector. Here between and business and country. Can you understand? So countries business class of not yeah involved in interact frequent decisions, right? Business class also friendly, right? I just completely look at all the business aspect plus is climate reject changes. Only the home definitely for beginning and now what even now economy more market even global free. So that is what the for investment because let's prefer. I should assume within South Asian region around 7 countries, right? In Lanka, but 7 I remember to Afghanistan. Countries like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Maldives, and various other, right? Nepal, and they will look at which country would be more appropriate in terms of these factors. Now, if you think of number of customers, which country would be more preferred within South Asian region? Of course, India. That is one main reason why most of the investments go in there. Size of the market is huge. One of the biggest in the market in the world. So that most of the investments going there. Right. In terms of labor population, right, and then of course population or the availability and their education and the cost, right. Few decades ago, probably 2 decades ago, we had a kind of advantage here in Sri Lanka because the salary levels were low, right, so that this country was known for availability of low cost labor, but it's no longer there. We don't have that advantage. Can you understand it? And how about unions? There were unions and all. Is that a problem? Right. There were unions. We call it unionization. Because to what extent they operate together as unions. And other factors. More industry specific factors like raw material availability, transportation costs, and mode of transportation available, right? These are very important points. Can you understand this? Incentive packages. What could be that? Incentive packages. Now, from country to country, what the governments offer to different businesses may vary. Sometimes tax concessions, right? And then of course certain tariffs may be relaxed, right? And then of course maybe cost of lands will be reduced for certain investments, right? If they invest their businesses in a selected area, rural areas, maybe less crowded areas, they will be given special rates, right, for lands and all. Such incentive packages. And then of course government services like Chamber of Commerce and all. Here also we have two specific government Chamber of Commerce, and there are other Chamber of Commerce as well. What are the roles of Chamber of Commerce? What do they provide? Do they have a role to play here? Yeah. They provide various different information for the businesses, right, and other support services. Right. Maybe conducting business feasibility analysis and provide whatever the industry specific details about labor force, about market, about raw materials availability in the country. They have such services to offer. So when such services are available, such countries become more popular, more attractive. So likewise. And then once they selected the country, within the country they need to look for a specific site. We call them selecting sites. And for that, certain factors are important. Some of them are mentioned here. We call them site-related factors. Within a country, one specific site. Right. So they could be factors like size of the site and the cost. May vary from place to place. Place 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right. When transportation systems available, right, infrastructure, and zoning restrictions applicable. Sometimes, hope you may be aware now, for industrial operations, there are dedicated areas. Here in Sri Lanka, we have for BOI projects, export processing zones are open. In addition to that, there are industrial states, industrial zones developed, right, and provided special facilities and additional support within those zones. Right? And such factors would be considered when selecting sites. In addition to that, proximity of raw material supply, environmental impact, and related environmental related issues should be considered, and then of course customer density and demographics. Density in the sense customer density, population per square kilometer, the amount of customers living, right? So especially for services and all, and their demographics. Demographics, not just the size of the population, but their demographics like their living standards, their income levels, lifestyles, expenditure pattern, right? They are also considered when selecting sites. Say for an example now, multinational food chains like KFC, Pizza Hut and all, right? When they look for regions to operate, and then within the region certain countries to operate, within the country to establish their outlets, right? Site selection, then definitely consider customer density, more populated areas, and then of course areas where the customers living in that area are more in a way, their income levels, their buying habits, their eating out habits are matching with their requirements. Can you understand it? This is how the outlets are selected. So that is just to understand how it applies to a global setup, location restrictions. Now, having discussed all these things, can you tell me now? This is an infrequent decision, site selection. What are the different situations where a business will have to make this decision? There are a few situations. First of all, what are, in other words, we call them location options. In the sense where the location decision should be made. When, yeah, you may be true. When they need to make an expansion decision. When they need to make an expansion decision, especially if they are already operating from a place, they want to expand. So for such, they need to look for a better location. So what are the other options, or what are the other situations where they will have to make such decisions? In addition to expansion. What do you mean by expansion here? As a project. New project. Okay. Even before expansion, when they think of an initial business, right? So to initially start a business, right? New business, new venture. So they have to start. Right? So for a new property, or a new business, right? They need to select locations. Right? There can be possible other situations also. Why? When they need to expand, I mean, when they need to make location decisions. I couldn't follow you. War or conflicts and various other reasons, could be economic reasons, could be political reasons, or market related reasons like what she mentioned here, maybe war, maybe various other reasons, and due to that, what we call we have to discontinue from one place and start from another place. Right? We can consider this as relocating, right? when they need to relocate facilities, right? Location selection is applicable. Why they need to relocate? Could be due to war, or maybe due to natural disasters or such situations. You have to stop operations at one place and relocate it at another place. So for that they need to make location decisions. Likewise, relocating due to various different political reasons, economic reasons, natural disasters also. And yes, it covers almost everything. And in addition to that, probably while continuing with the existing place, they would have to look for some other places also a possible location situation, right? So they continue at the existing place also. While doing so, they want to expand to a new place. I might take 10 more minutes, and at what time we are going to start the second one? Well, 10 minutes and finish it off. Move to slide number 17 here and give you a rough idea. When making location decisions for whatever the situation here, whether to look for a new place to expand the business, or even for a new business, a totally new place, or discontinue from one place and starting the business from another place, like relocating, or continuing from the same place while expanding the business to another place. Right? So how location decisions should be made? Right? Now these three steps will help us making this decision in a systematic way. Right? As you see here, it's important to begin with some factors relevant for the decision. We call them dominant location factors. As you can understand, now there can be many different location factors to consider. Out of them, decision makers should carefully identify what are the most important location factors for the decision. Right? What are the most important location decision for the location factors for the decision? We call it identifying dominant location factors. I hope that is clear. Now, just check whether you can understand this. Now, dominant location factors for a restaurant and the dominant location factors for a hospital, are they same? Could they be same? And when you compare it with a university or a factory like garment factory or oil refinery, hope you can understand, from property to from business to business, from operation to operation, most relevant location factors are. So to make the better decision, we need to identify first of all what are the most relevant dominant location factors for this business. It could be various for business. So that's a good starting point. Just to understand that, can we do within 2 minutes? Now, let's say now a supermarket outlet. Often this decision is often relevant for service business like supermarket outlets. Can you tell me quickly what are the most dominant location factors managers should consider when deciding a location for a supermarket outlet? Yeah, write them down while we are identifying them. Right, you can contribute here quickly. For a supermarket outlet, for customers' parking spaces, is that important? Yes. May not be the most important factor, but yes, right, somewhere down the line, right? enough or sufficient parking facilities, because supermarkets are the places middle income earning and upper middle income earning families visiting. So that there should be enough parking facilities close to the outlet, not somewhere else. So nearby spacious parking facilities is important. Is that a revenue factor or a cost factor? Is that a revenue factor or a cost factor? I would consider it as revenue factor, because then only, and if you have more space only, you can attract more customers. If you can attract more customers only, your revenue would be revenue factor, right? So what are the other factors? Density, population density of the area. That means we call it customer droving area, right? So within that area, maybe within 1 or 2 cubic kilometer or the square kilometers, right? Square kilometers. What is the population size of it, right? So the population density, is that important? Yes. So the density of the droving area, customer droving area for that particular location. Is that a cost factor or a revenue factor? Revenue, yes. Higher the density, higher the revenue we can expect. Customer demographics, like their income levels, right? Their income levels, buying habits, yeah, lifestyles, right? Customer demographics, it's very important. So you may see most of to metropolitan areas and suburbs, not in main cities, no, because their market is different. Skills, their strategy is a little different. They have expanded their locations to suburb areas, and I mean within a city also at least 2, 3 sometimes, through 2, 3 outlets, right? And thereby they have expanded their operations, right? 1 or 2 more factors. Accessibility or easy access or easy convenient access to the customers, which is very important. That is why most of the outlets are located facing to the main roads. Accessibility, easy customer access, one of the main factors for restaurants. If you just think of now, like Glowmark, but other, so which side of the road most of the supermarkets are located? Mostly think from a city, and when you go from the main city to the outside, right? Which side of the road most of the time supermarkets are located? When you are going out from the city, right hand side or left hand side? Can you just think of different places which are popular among customers and identify a pattern? Yeah, she's telling left hand side. Any other opinion? When you are moving out from the city, right hand side, or there can be outlets in right hand or left hand. Which locations are more preferred, and you may frequently visit? Yeah, most of the time, yeah, left hand side, right? Right. Locations, left hand side are more preferred most of the time. Why? We frequently do shopping when we go home from offices and all, right? So it's more convenient for them to park the vehicle there and do shopping there. So they have carefully analyzed them up to that extent. convenient access, right? So not in crowded areas. They are always there is traffic, but little more free areas. There customers can freely, not necessarily in one-way roads, but in two-way roads. Have you noticed it? So likewise, there are various different factors. That is step number 1. Step number 2 is considering the location options. That means, what are the different locations? What are the different alternatives we have? Right? Then we have to identify. That is the second option. Is that clear? What are the possible locations we can consider? So decision maker should identify. First of all, first time they may prepare a long list, different locations, right? And they have to then carefully analyze and then shortlist it based on some priorities. Right? Probably they will identify 10, 20 places, 20, 25 places, which should be reduced 5 or 7 places, let's say. Short, those are the most prominent places, most appropriate places. If you have to select only one place, then you'll have to analyze those prominent places in a careful manner and select one place or 2 places. And that is step number 3. We call it out of the alternatives. And that is how this can make ideas can in a rational way. And for that, there are different decision-making tools often used by decision makers to evaluate locations. There are more quantitative techniques like these, and in addition to that, there are qualitative techniques also. Quantitative means numbers and formula. So techniques like break-even analysis, NPV and all, more or less quantitative techniques. In addition to that, transportation method, center of gravity method, load distance model are also quantitative techniques. Numbers and formula will be used to evaluate. Qualitative, using the opinions or judgments of experts, they will select the locations. And for evaluation, they use judgments and opinions, not the numbers. Not the numbers. Sometimes they may combine these two, judgments and numbers together. So this technique, don't know whether you are aware of it, this is the last point we are going to cover. A technique like location factor rating method. It is a combination of judgments and numbers together and using decision making. And that technique is called location factor rating method. Have you studied it for some other purpose? No. Within 2 minutes, I will complete that. That is how we are going to conclude this topic. So what we are going to discuss? As an evaluation technique, location factor rating method. NPV, break-even points, I am not going to talk because you are aware of it. NPV, net present value for each location that can be calculated and go for the best location. BEP, fixed cost and the variable cost, that would be vary from one place to another. When you estimate them, then you go for the best place that has appropriate BEP levels. Likewise. So if I just explain you the location factor rating method, it's something like this that has several steps. It begins with identifying the relevant location factors. Say for an example now, one example is shown here. This is for a, let's say, a factory like a garment factory. where the operations heavily depend on workforce. Right? And for that, they have identified dominant location factors like these, 7 different factors. Labor pool and labor climate, proximity to suppliers and other factors. Can you understand it? So, location factor rating methods begins with identifying list of dominant location factors. Now, these factors may not equally important, may not be equally important. Depending on the importance, we can weight them. Assign higher weights to more important factors like this. Labor pool and labor climate, 0.3. Proximity to suppliers, 0.2. In a way to reflect the importance of the factor. We assign a weight. So the total of weight should be equal to 1 so that our calculation is easier. So that is step number 2. Use weight to refer to the importance of the factor. Then comes the most difficult step of this technique, where what we call subjectively score each location. Now we have factors, we have weights, and in this case they are considering 3 alternative locations, site 1, 2 and 3. Now specialists, experts should score the location based on the suitability. Using a ranking or using a score between 0 to 100. So that is what it is. 100 means any value close to, that means that location is perfectly fit. Any value close to 0, that is not an attractive place. Understand it? So who involves in these judgments? Experts. Location experts. So for example, say now here for the labor pool and climate, these are the scores assigned by the expert for each location. Site 1, 2 and 3. Values between 0 to 100. So in terms of labor pool and climate, which location is more attractive and why? Site 1, 2 and 3. In terms of labor pool and climate, by looking at the scores assigned by the specialists, which site is preferred and why? You get my question? These are scores assigned by the specialist, location specialist. 80 for site 1, 65 for 2, 90 for 3. So which site is more appropriate? Site 3, of course. Why? Assign highest value on that. And site 2 is the least preferred in terms of labor pool and climate. So likewise, for each factor, each site would be evaluated. Like proximity to suppliers, site 1, 100, 291, 375. So which location is most preferred? Site 1. And understanding? 100 out of 100. Perfectly fit. With compared to other places, this is perfectly in terms of proximity to suppliers. So likewise, for all the other factors also, we should get a score for each site. Right? Then comes the step we call it multiply the score by weights and get the weighted score. Weighted score. Third, 80 by 0.3, 24. We can get weighted scores for each site, for each factor, and add them together and get the total weighted score for each site. Right? And then based on the total weighted score, we can recommend which site is preferred. Of course, what should be the decision? The site that has highest, weighted score. So likewise, the technique is called location factor weighting method. Right. So what we discussed here, how to evaluate different locations, and for that matter, different techniques are there. We just identified how to use location factor weighting method with an example. At home, I would expect, let's say, you are going to consult supermarket chains to identify a better location for their next outlet. Assume that you are given 3 locations. Right. You are to identify most important location factors for supermarket outlets, and then you are given the 3 locations, specific sites. You are asked to use the location factor weighting method and accordingly recommend the best location for the manager. A service example like supermarket outlet. In the same manner, you can think of manufacturing. With that, let me conclude it. What did we discuss today? Talked about facility locations decision. We understood this is a very important decision, particularly for operations, then of course for the business. There are various different factors to consider when deciding the locations. So we identified there are 2 main approaches for decision. One is called cost. Looking at the cost aspects, locations can be selected, and the other one is most of the manufacturing decisions are taken based on cost. For service decisions, consider revenue, and then hard and fast rule. Anyway, this combined combination approach is more applicable. Then we identified different factors at different levels, global to regional to country level. Towards end, we identify a decision-making process that has few steps. At the end, we identify different evaluation techniques. We explain one, that is location factor weighting method, with an example. With that, let's conclude it since we run short of time. Assignment guidelines, as we discussed, everything will be applicable, and the submission deadline will be kept same as 22nd of June. I hope you will be able to submit. Create the submission link. In case some groups are in more days, for a few more days, you may send me an email. Because only for be ready for that. I'm sorry for taking longer time. That was part. Thank you for waiting and listening. Hope to meet you next week.